Hi and welcome to another video update from the Fire Brigades Union here in the Union's head office in London. We're joined by General Secretary Matt Wrack to discuss an ongoing consultation with members over pay. Matt, this is a consultation, but this time the EC is recommending acceptance. I suppose the question for firefighters out there is, why are we now recommending something that only a few weeks ago we were saying wasn't acceptable?
Sam, what the Executive Council decided recently was that they asked us as Joint Secretaries to go back and pursue the employers on a number of issues. One, to see if we could get any improvements to the proposals, and also to seek some clarification around a number of issues. Now, we that might have been bringing the stage 2 payment a bit earlier. We weren't able to achieve that. We were able to clarify a number of points which I think are useful for people to think about. And so a big debate around this is around contracts and particularly around role maps. And what the employers have been now very clear about is that one thing that is under the control of the National Joint Council is the areas of role map that need to be discussed. And they've agreed that by November we will jointly agree, each side jointly agree, which areas of the firefighters' role maps need now to be potentially altered, assuming the rest of the deal was then adequate. That gives us quite a powerful position at that stage of those negotiations. I think secondly, they have accepted that a key issue is lobbying for funding from central government, and nobody's underestimating how difficult that is with the Tory government imposing cuts. But lobbying for funding, which the employers, led by a Tory, and I think that's important to note, are willing to engage in, and that some of that work has already started. But again, I think for us a key turning point now would be the budget in November, where we will be making the case in the run-up to that, and the employers will be making the case in the run-up to that, that the fire service needs additional funding. Again, the employers accept that if no additional funding is available, actually the whole deal falls apart.
But Matt, this is a stage deal, so it starts off with a 2% pay rise that we backdated to July. If at that point in time, in November or wherever, there is no agreement, there is no extra funding, what happens to the 2% that's already been paid?
Well, I think this is why the employers didn't initially want to make this proposal. They wanted to stick to 1%. The 2% is something that would be in our members' pockets. And I think one of the key factors in the Executive Council's decision is we would rather see that in our members' pockets than in the reserves of fire authorities. Once that's agreed, that's the new basic rate of pay.
Now, one of the key questions that keeps coming up through social media and other forums is, if we accept this now, are we accepting EMR? To be blunt, is this 2% for introducing EMR in the fire service?
I understand the concerns, and firstly, there's a range of views on EMR, and I completely understand that. Some people are very in favour of it, some people are very much against it, and I get that. That's a debate. It's quite a difficult debate for us when there are such polarised views on it. In terms of the 2%, it's categorically not the case that the 2% is about changing role maps. There are no changes to the role maps that we are signing up to for the 2%. As I say, that's why the employers didn't initially want to make that offer. That comes further down the line, and if that agreement then can't be reached, the 2% is in our members' pockets, but there would be no further pay rises as part of that deal, and no changes to the role map or contracts.
Okay, that seems clear, but something that's just happened in the last couple of days, in fact, is media reports that the government intends to lift the public sector pay cap. So why then do we get tied into a deal? Why don't we just wait to see what the government comes up with?
Well, that's an important point. I think we need to remind ourselves that straight after the general election, there was again press speculation that the pay cap was going to be lifted. Theresa May stepped in very quickly and enforced on the teachers the imposition of the 1% again. So it's inevitable that there's going to be speculation in the run to the November budget, and it is quite possible that something is said in the budget. But we need to remember that the 2017 pay settlements in many areas of the public sector have already been implemented. So the NHS, including nurses, who are one of the sources of the stories in the press, have already had the 2017 pay rise, as have teachers. What we're talking about is a 2% for 2017, and potentially more than that if further agreements can be reached. So that's very different from talking about potential ending of the pay cap for 2018 and beyond.
Okay, Matt. Well, again, I'm going to refer to social media because there's a lot of comments coming out via that. And some of our members who are undertaking EMR, for them it's so unpopular, they're saying they would rather just have 1%, the pay cap, and scrap the 2% as long as they no longer have to carry on doing EMR. What would you say to them?
Well, I as I say, I understand the concerns that some people have, and there's a whole range of trials going on. I think some of the trials that I've seen, witnessed, and members have spoken to me about, I think, in my own personal view, are not appropriate for further work in the fire and rescue service, and that needs to be addressed. If we, for example, reject this proposal, and first of all, we don't know what other offer the employers will make. They may well make a 1% offer. We don't know what they would do if this offer is rejected. I think in that situation, the union would have to assess what its options are. It strikes me that there, at that point, would be two options if a 1% offer is made. Again, there will be different points of view. Some members expressed at conference, for example, that actually what we would need to do is launch a major campaign heading towards industrial action. So we would have to consider that. Other members might argue that we should accept the 1%. I think it is difficult for the Executive Council, having had an offer of 2%, to then recommend people accept a 1% pay deal. And I think we need to think through what the implications of that are for our negotiations in the future. Is it 1% for this year? Are we accepting 1% for next year? 1% beyond that? We don't know. So these are some of the difficulties we would have to think about if the members decide to reject this proposal. But it's a democratic decision. I think I would urge members to attend branch meetings. That's where the real debate needs to be taking place. I think I would urge members to think through all the different permutations. It is complex. The employer's proposal is complex. And I would urge people to listen to their other union members around the table, including people who might disagree, have a debate and make the decision on that basis.
So just for members out there to be clear, the consultation is taking place through the branch structure, through fire stations, through votes at fire stations?
Yes, the instructions have gone out to all our officials. Brigade committees will be ensuring that branch meetings take place. I would urge people to attend those branch meetings, participate in those discussions, express your views, listen to other people's point of view and debate and take votes at those branch meetings. They will be fed back through the brigade committees, through the regions to the Executive Council.
Matt, thanks very much. Well, that consultation comes to a close on the 13th of September when the Executive Council meets to decide. All the information you need to inform yourself of this decision is on our website, and that's www.fbu.org.uk. And please don't forget, for more immediate updates, you can follow us on Twitter, and that's @FBU National. Until next time, thanks, and thanks so much.